Welcome back to Above the Net, an Ashland University Women's Volleyball Coach Show. I'm Katie Krakis, alongside head coach Katie Kuhn. Katie, thanks for joining me.
Yes, thanks for having me this morning.
Yeah, of course, it's great to have you on here. And first and foremost, no stranger to the fact that it's been a tough little stretch for you guys. But talk a little about how you've kept the locker room composed and level-headed.
Yeah, I think you have to somewhat embrace it. Like, you have to be honest, just like you're saying. We have to talk about those things. And we've had a tough stretch. The crossover is always it's really good competition when we go there. We know we're going to have good matchups. And then just trying to figure out, there's been moments where we've played really well. And so it's continuing to try to build on those moments. And we keep talking about those. There's glimpses of like greatness. And so it's like, how do you grow those glimpses of greatness, and how do you make them now stretch out to be a whole set of greatness or a whole match of greatness? And so we've continued to keep talking about that. I have always been, and the girls know this, like, I'm a glass half full coach. So we will continue to keep working. We will continue to keep trying to grow. We will continue to keep trying to like get better every single day. And while it's difficult sometimes that it doesn't equate in wins, there is growth that's happening, and like seeing some of that maturing. And so we'll continue to work in those areas.
Of course. Now, I was just about to say too, I mean, it's a young team, a lot of freshmen getting involved. Anyone specifically standing out who's risen to the occasion this year?
Well, I think they all have at different times. I think that's been the interesting part, is we are very youthful, and it's been trying to continue to keep working with these young women of saying like, hey, like, what's your job and how do we do it when your time is called. But I think, I mean, in different times there's been different freshmen and sophomores. Sometimes I look out there and like, besides like Macy, our one senior who's gotten to play quite a bit, like there isn't a single, they're all underclassmen that are on the court. And so I think it's been at different moments that different young women have stepped up, and we've been continuing to keep talking in practice too of like, how do we translate practice for this young team into matches, because they're being able to do some really good things in practice. And so now how do we like translate that over into doing it when the big lights are on, and sometimes that's difficult for a young team to try to figure out like, how do I do it when there's a different opponent on the other side of the court.
Of course. And too, sometimes with that comes needing a leader to step up in the locker room, and unfortunately you guys don't really have that many upperclassmen. So who's really risen to that challenge and said, hey, I'll be that voice?
Yeah, I think Macy has done a really nice job for us and has risen into that area. Also, like Raven, our one junior, has done a nice job too. They've kind of stepped in at different times. Marin has stepped in at times. Abby has stepped in, and I think it's trying to figure out like what the team needs. And so some of those upperclassmen are really trying to, like you say, rise to that occasion and be like, okay, what's the team need right now from us, and how can we continue to keep rallying everyone together? But they're a relational team, and so they've worked really hard at continuing to maintain those relationships with one another. Now it's, how do we demand of one another? How do we trust one another on the court?
Of course. And you mentioned a little bit back, but that Crossroads little tournament with the GLVC and the GLIAC, correct?
Yes, correct.
And when you're going up against these different non-conference opponents, you said it, they're very tough. There's a lot of tough schools over there. How does that prepare you for the back half of the season in the GMAC?
Yeah, we always say, like, even when we go to the GMAC, sometimes doesn't always fare well at the crossover, but one thing that it is there's good competition. So what I said to our girls is it exposes some things, which is hard to admit, but it's also good because it's like, here's what we need to work on. It's also really good competition. Like, we have to work really hard for points. And so when you have to work really hard for points, then hopefully that's teaching you like some of the discipline and what it's like to have to earn. So then when you come back into conference, you can start to apply those things. But it's also really good because it gives you a break from GMAC. It gives you a break from that conference competition and just allows you we tried some different things at the crossover, put some different people in some different positions. And so I think that was good for us as well, to be able to see like, hey, who could step up in some of these different roles, and what kind of combinations are we trying to put. But no, it definitely prepares. You have to take it as a positive. Like, it can drain you, it can like take it out of you, but you have to be able to say, hey, we played really good competition. We rose, especially on Saturday. It did not equate to a win, but like we rose and like played at a better level on Saturday, which I was very proud of them. So it's like, how do you continue? How do you take that and ride it out for the rest of the year?
Well, and speaking of the rest of the year, how many more games do you guys have in the season?
5, yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So we're getting down to the end of it, so which is crazy. And it goes so quickly. People keep asking, and they're like, how much time do you have? And I'm like, well, there's only a few matches left. And luckily we're home. We've been on the road here. We've been kind of road warriors since we went to the crossover, and so we're excited to be able to get to play at home this weekend and host two really good competitors in Hillsdale and Northwood, but we're looking forward to be able to have them here. And it's Halloween, so break out the costumes, like let's have some fun on Friday and get back in Kate's Gymnasium.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And what does that crowd mean to you in Kate's Gymnasium?
It means a ton, and I think it means so much to the girls. Like, it's just to know that they have the support of Ashland community, of Ashland University, like that's huge. And like hopefully it's also our breast cancer game on Friday and ADHD awareness. So there's a lot of things happening on Friday, and so hopefully we'll be able to come out and get a good crowd.
That's awesome. Well, Coach Kuhn, I appreciate your time today.
Yes, thank you.
Of course, if you want to find everything about Ashland University women's volleyball, head over to goashlandeagles.com, or if you want to catch all the action this weekend, head to Flow College, and you can look up Ashland University and find the women's volleyball page, and you can just star that, and then it'll be a favorite for you so you can catch all the action. Well, that's all the time that we've got here today. Stay tuned right here on the Eagle Network.